I would say the biggest investment is the time that I dedicated to every single thing that I've done. Even if others would tell me like that's so much, but I think it's so important to do it at a certain phase in your life, because there will be another phase where you might not have to do it the same way, but in another way. But that phase, when you really like live it, you just get a different feel. You get a different feel that I really can't explain even.
Welcome to What's on Your Plate. Today's guest is Alaa Alhadad. She is the founder of House of Forte and a seasoned F&B consultant with over a decade of experience in the UAE. I connected with her through an acquaintance in London. He thought that we would have something in common, and true enough, we did. So in this episode, we talk a lot about food consultancy, what she's trying to build, what makes successful concepts thrive nowadays, and the exciting opportunities that shape the future of hospitality. It's really perfect for 2025 and beyond. So I do hope you pick something up from this as much as I did. My guest today, we got introduced by someone I met in the UK. And what he said to me was that you were someone who did a lot of consultancy, or you went to different countries and you would study the market. And I thought that was such a cool job. And a lot of people would be like, I want that job. And how did you get that role to be able to travel and observe different F&B concepts and see what would work also in your local market?
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, I've been here for 20 years, past 20 years in the UAE, and from that 10 years professionally in the F&B industry. I think what got me into that role, I would say, is how I started. First, like I would really give a lot of emphasis to where you study and the environment you're surrounded with, and how much that challenges you to think differently and to think beyond what you see, in a sense. And during that time, like the past 10 years, also F&B in UAE has been developing a lot. And when I graduated, I realized I love the industry, which I didn't know that before. I love food. I love going out. I love trying new things. And my first job, I was a supervisor, and I was left all alone to figure it out, literally. And in a span of year, like I tried to implement so many things, and I've turned things around. But I realized the biggest thing was there is the setup. The setup was wrong, and that's why there were so many challenges. And I'm like, okay, you know what? I want to know more about the setup. Like, if you set up something correctly, I'm sure it's gonna grow to be correct, right? Like, it's a law, right? In a sense. So I started experimenting, and then that's where I got the opportunity to have that, where I started project from scratch, literally, and build it with different people, not only myself. I've worked with consultants as well. I've worked with different industry experts. I learned so much from them, and I realized how much it takes to build a space, to build something that can thrive and develop. And then I figured that I really want that. And with the development as well that's happened in the UAE, where you would see so many things opening up, some are doing very well, but some are closing. I started thinking, okay, why is this business closing and why is this succeeding? Uh, and then I always put myself as a consumer. So what I mean is, because I go out so much, I am also a customer. So I am a person that what I want, I'm sure other people want. So I looked at wherever I worked from that perspective. Even when I travel to see what is a trend and then compared it to the market, I would travel as a customer, number one, and then as a professional in the industry. Because like I would take that both point of views or perspectives and just combine it to what does a customer want at the end of the day? Because that's what matters the most, if you could say. And yeah, that's where the passion kept growing, 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 and then different opportunities coming in. And I realized, you know what, I really want to pursue that. I wanna, whatever I've learned and whatever I went through as challenges, I want to share it with people, because when you open a restaurant or a business, I'm sure you have a passion to do it. And for you to see it fail, perhaps, or not being able to handle it, it hurts. And I've worked in places where they weren't my businesses, but I felt like they were. And to go through that struggle where you don't know who to ask for help, you don't know what to do, I think that's the biggest challenge. And I wanted to tap on that. I really wanted to be not just a traditional consultancy, rather than a space, create a space where a business owner or someone wants to start out feel comfortable to work with us. We are an extension of them and we want to work together, where if I'm not there tomorrow, they can still run their business because they've learned how to do it,
Yeah.
in a sense.
Just
Yeah.
going back a little, like what was the most
Yeah.
defining job or company you worked for and that really changed your perspective that I'm going to do this?
Okay. Actually, that was the second job that I had, which was it was also the biggest project up to date. It was back in 2018. So a colleague of mine, where we studied together, approached me to open up something that he loved also F&B, and he approached me to work together to make his dream come a reality. And it was something interesting because I always like to try new things. I'm like, okay, why not? That would be challenging. And then we started with a setup. I had to research brands, which brand we can bring to the market, because he was like, okay, we can do a franchise first. Maybe it's less less risky in a sense, right? And then I started researching, and I had to figure out so many things on my own back then, like so much of things that I've never done before. I had to do, like setting up a company, opening a trade license, accounting, marketing, HR, inventory, bringing a consultant also on board to help with the project. And that happened for a period of 2 years and a half. And once that project came to life and I realized what I really went through, that's the moment I'm like, I really want to continue doing that. And that's where I started. After that project, I started doing freelance and help with other projects. And then I went into a full-time role again with a company. And that was also, I think, a dream job
What was this
because
company called?
I also, leopard pots.
Okay.
Leopard Pots Hospitality.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the name is kind of interesting when you hear it first. Like people tell me, "What's leopard pots?" Like it's such a weird name.
Yeah.
But what it refers to basically is that the approach of the company and the concepts that we develop, they are classical but with an edge, and that's where the leopard comes in place as an animal, but at the same time pots, which is the hospitality, and we wanted to combine that. We wanted from the name, people would know that whatever concept we come up with, it's going to be an interesting concept. And during that venture, I had the privilege to set up different businesses, different concepts from scratch as well, work with different people internationally here, travel a lot, and just be more exposed to the industry. And then I was proud, of course, to come up with three homegrown concepts and grow them up to see where they would reach. And then, yeah, I was like, okay, it's time maybe to go and start it on my own and really take that chance of dedicating it not only to a certain entity, but to everyone.
Yeah.
And that's where House of Forte started. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really love that name. I love the use of leopard. And
Leopard
also,
pots.
yeah, I think that's a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and you can really say, I mean, your business name could say a lot of what you do, right? And so why did you call it House
Yeah.
of Forte? Is it Go ahead.
No, there was an inspiration behind it. So, um, I've learned, and I've learned this the hard way as well. You cannot do everything on your own. This is, if you want to succeed, if you want something to grow, you have to have people around you, people that match your vision, match your energy, and match your expertise as well. And that's why I called it House of Forte, because I believe that to come up with something successful, you need different fortes, you need different expertise that come together. And as a company, it's not a standalone that's only revolving around me. It's revolving around so many of the people that I work with, so many of the experts that I work with as well, where we come together and become one to deliver your vision as a business owner.
Yeah.
So that was the inspiration. Yeah.
I think you told me this maybe a few months ago, and I was very excited for you to actually pursue that. And I want to, before we jump into the opportunities, trends, and such, I do want to dig
Yeah.
a little bit
Yeah. Yeah.
to your career. And just looking back at the stuff that you've done, do you have like one moment where you were super stressed? I mean, maybe that's every day, but there's one project you're like, this is, you just feel like it's a disaster, but it will come out okay. Can you share that moment with
Yeah.
me?
Yeah. I do have that. I have a lot of these moments, but I'll share one that just crossed my mind first. So one of the projects that I was doing in Leopard Pots was a bakery and a bistro. And we started the planning of it in beginning of 2021. No, actually end of 2020, beginning of 2021. And the focus was like natural ingredients, 100% natural sourdough, with a focus on fermentation. And the company is in Fujairah. So it was such a pretty new concept to bring into the market, even if I'm talking also about Dubai back then, like 3 years back. So I was trying to bring things together and I was trying to find. So there was a chef that was helping with the breads. She is an expert at it, Chef Brenda. And then I was trying to find a chef to for the space, day-to-day operation. And I got like everything was under control, the concept, the design, the branding, whatever you wanted, but not the chef. And that was so stressful because we needed to open and I needed to find someone. I was interviewing different people. I was
Hmm.
trying different things, tasting different things to the point where like we're really approaching 1 month in advance. I've worked with different consultants and I was, I was in a moment where I just didn't know what to do anymore. Like, what should I do? How will I find the person? And I didn't yet. And we have to open. And I don't know how we opened, in all honesty. I just don't know how it happened. I think that's where teamwork came in together. Chef Brenda, and then we had a consultant, a chef consultant that helped. And I hired a chef. I'm like, let me take a chance on it. Maybe things could work out. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. So we started with the soft opening, grand opening, and then the chef left, so we had to start training the sous chef. And in all honesty, he did a great job too. I think that's when I realized having the right team behind you can really save you from these very stressful moments where, as a customer, you might not notice, but like back there, it was fire. Like every day was just a challenge because a chef for a concept is so important. Having the kitchen right is what makes a concept right too. So this is one of the very stressful moments that I had and still remember back then. Yeah.
Yeah. I always say when people are opening a restaurant or establishment, whether it's a school or, having an event, it's organized chaos. It'll come together. And
Yeah.
even if you have so many checklists, there are still things that will come up. But it's still good
Oh
to be
yeah.
prepared, I think. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts
Yeah.
when you're hiring someone? What do you look for, especially for these concepts that you work on? Because I deal with a culinary school, and I do tell the young ones to get work experience, have the best attitude. But as someone who constantly recruits the best and experts, what are some? Do you have a method, or is it by gut?
Both, to be honest. The method, of course, is they would go through different stages, the trial, an interview. They would meet also other people, so there is different opinions, but also there is gut feeling into it. Because how I look at it, when you're recruiting someone, we all play a role in that organization or in that concept. And sometimes if you bring the wrong fit, I wouldn't say the wrong person, but just the wrong fit into the environment that you have, and especially if you are standing on a higher level and you can see further, you will know, okay, would this person fit in the current environment that I have? Or maybe I will bring trouble to them and they will bring trouble to me. Because a lot of time, I wouldn't say it's a bad recruit. It was just the wrong fit. So that's where gut feeling comes in place, and it's so important to follow it. Another thing is what I look for is the personality, it's the attitude, and it's how much are they open to learn? Are they flexible, even if they have so much experience? It's not about always the experience, technical experience. It's about that am I open to first receive the information of what I have to do? And am I open to give that information to the people that I'm working with? That is so important. Am I flexible enough to adapt to the environment that I'm working in? Or no, am I the kind of person that if I want to do something, I'm only going to do it, right? So teamwork plays a huge role when you're choosing a personality.
Yeah.
Also, someone that would get their hands dirty, even if you grow and go up the ladder, doesn't mean that you will stop doing things with your hands. I've always done it. And sometimes, like, I had other people say, why do you need to do it? Like, you're a GM, you don't have to be in the restaurant to do this, for example. But I always said that, you lead by example, and that's so important. It's not about the position, it's about that at the end of the day, we're all here to deliver one goal, to deliver for the customer and for the organization that we're working for. So if I see that I need to get my hands dirty, I'm gonna do it without thinking twice. So if you have that approach to when you want to look for a job, I think that's where you become indispensable as well to where you are working, because it's no longer just following the job description. It is, if there is a problem, I'm gonna jump into it. So when I'm interviewing others, I don't have a certain question that I go through. I just have an open conversation with them. Tell me about you. Tell me what you like. What do you do in your free time? What do you value the most? I want to know them. I don't want to just know their experience, because once you know the person,
Yeah.
experience can come second, right? So yeah, this is how I approach recruitment.
Yeah. I love what you said about just having a conversation. One of these people that gave me this tip where if you're interviewing for something, you should record yourself on the phone or on your webcam and just see how you appear. And I think a
Yeah,
lot of people don't really practice that. Yes, have a natural conversation, but sometimes you do have
yep,
to practice how to have that
yeah,
conversation,
yeah,
especially if you're young. And let's say with you, you've had so much experience, so it comes almost it's your it's almost like a nature. And for others that are just
yeah, yeah.
graduating, I don't know what you were like when you graduated, but I definitely was unconfident. I got three internships
Oh yeah.
and I was like, oh my God, which one do I choose? Which path? What were you like when you first graduated? Were you always like this?
Oh yeah, no, 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 no. Of course not, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And it's still a work in progress, I think it's just you adapt to every phase in life. So when I first graduated, now something about me is I'm someone that doesn't say no. Like, I'm open to trying new things, right? So when I graduated, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. A lot of people told me that you need to go into F&B. But back then, when I just graduated, I didn't feel it 100%. I wanted to do marketing, and I don't know if I should travel, continue my education,
Mm.
should I stay here, what should I do? And then all of a sudden, I just get a call from a restaurant that they're looking for a supervisor. And I'm like, let me just go. Like, I'm not gonna lose anything, right? Let me just try it out. And I had an interview, and I remember the first interview, the person told me, "Oh no, I'm looking for a hostess." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank you so much." And I stood up and wanted to leave because this is not what I came for.
Yeah.
And he was like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I think that you're looking for someone else, and it's not what I'm looking for.
Okay.
But thank you so much for having me here." And then I left, and then he called me back, and he was like, "Okay, we have a supervisory role. Can you come back again?" It was the same day. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know what? Let me, I didn't know back then how to deal with such situations. So I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, let me just do it. And when I did, and they really liked me, I'm like, okay, let me just try it out. It's not like I have any other option. I didn't know what to do. So again, my personality is that I will try things, and I went for it. But it's just interesting when you look back, and how you felt and the nervousness, and you think so much ahead, But then you realize you don't need to think so much ahead, but that will only come with time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. You don't have to think too far ahead. I do like what you said about trying things and just going for it, because a lot of graduates would end up in that position. They accept very the first offer, or now I know you can negotiate, you can really think strategically about your career. But I also believe you shouldn't
Yeah.
really go way ahead. Like, don't think 20 years. You still have like your career where you're going to experiment a lot. And that's the
100%.
beauty of experimenting. Um,
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting
Just
story.
actually, just one thing
Yeah.
I wanted to add about that part is that, especially when you're starting out,
Mm.
like I understand maybe you invested so much on your education and you educate yourself and you go into a lot of activities, 100%. But at the same time, like when I'm starting out, to look at it from the perspective is that I won't be losing anything. If it's something that will add to me as a benefit, I'll take it. But if it didn't add to me, I didn't lose anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
So also that approach at the beginning of your career specifically is so important. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a good filter is really, have a little vision of yourself. Like, it doesn't, whether it's 1 or 2 years, or just like what you see yourself being, and every opportunity that comes through is like, does that add value to where you see
Yeah.
yourself? So now I used to be in that bucket where I was always scared that things would disappear, like opportunities. So I would just take whatever that came my way, and I'd convince myself that that was exciting, but I wouldn't really think, okay, what is my focus or my compass? It was just,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I want a job that's going to give me money, or that's going to give me opportunity to taste food, but didn't really think about it strategically. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah. That is so important.
yeah, do you think about now that you've launched a business, do you think about what it would be like 2 years from now, 5 years from now, or are you just taking it as you go along?
No, okay, that's a good question. No, honestly, I'm trying to balance that out. Like, of course, before I start or launch the business, I kind of like, from what I learned, I kind of set up like the business model of how I want to approach this and plan it ahead, like stage one, stage two, stage three. How would this business add to what I want in 2 years? And how will I like maybe branch out to something else? Because I'll be honest with you, like House Forte has a bigger vision that is gonna come ahead, and it's not just consultancy. It will go bigger and branch out. So no, I did that practice. I did that homework as well, because I believe you need it to know where you're heading, especially if people will join you on that vision. They want to know also where this is going. Is it going to add to them? Do you share the same values as well, or goals? So I have that. But at the same time, I am also trying to take it as it goes, not to be so rigid. Like I know what I want to do and I know what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know what I want to do, but I know exactly what's not for me. So I follow that approach when I'm meeting, let's say, a client, or when I am looking at a business opportunity. A lot of times I start thinking, okay, is this going to add to what I want or not? And am I still at the stage where I just want to gain a client or experience, or no, I am at the stage where I want to add value, but I also want a value from that perspective. And that ties back to the vision for House of Forte and what I really want to achieve in 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's a balanced approach in between, you could say.
Yeah. I'm curious about, I guess, like a little checklist, maybe, or a guide
Yeah.
for food entrepreneurs or chefs that want to hire a consultant, what are things that they should be wary of, like red flags that, because in the Philippines, sometimes consultants can be quite expensive and not sustainable. So I don't know what it's like in the UAE, but that happens a lot here. You'll get a consultant, you'll onboard them, they'll help you with the recipes and everything. You pay a big chunk of money, and then probably 2 months or 3 months in, they're gone and your business is not doing well. What are your thoughts on
Yeah.
hiring a
Yeah.
consultant?
You know, honestly speaking, this topic is the reason why I also wanted to set up a consultancy because I went through it, by the way. I went through this pain where we had to hire a consultant, pay a lot of money, and then realize what did we get in return. It's a topic, I think now it became international. It's an international challenge. And I think what is so important is, or to avoid when you're hiring a consultant, it's not always going for the biggest company or the most well-known company, because it doesn't mean that they will also put the effort, especially if you're starting out as a business. Like, let's say, are you a big business? Are you a medium-sized business? Or are you just starting out? First, when you put that in, categorize first yourself, like, where do I belong? And then you look for consultants that match that criteria. Because let's say if I am a company that has 15 plus or 20 plus brands, I might need a consultant for a certain scope, and they probably need to have a lot of resources that will match my criteria. But if I'm someone who wants to start out from scratch, I am not going to look for a consultant who is so big. It's the quite opposite. I might look for consultants that are more boutique, that I know they are hungry and passionate and they have the energy to put in also the work. And also, this is one indication. Another indication would be how the consultants meet with. So, do they want to know about you and about your business? Are they interested, or are they just sitting to sell their services to you?
Yeah.
To tell you
Yeah.
about their projects. This is also very important, because if I'm going to sit in the meeting to tell you about everything that I've done, okay, it's great, but you can get that from the website. You can get that from Instagram nowadays.
Hmm.
But I want to know more about your business. Am I interested to know more? So I know if I'm going to add value to you or not. So that's the second approach to know. A third approach to know as well is, I would say, how they do their own work. Like, I would check out their socials. I would check out their projects. I would go if I can. I would see. I would ask around. I wouldn't just take it, with a leap of faith that, okay, they've done these projects. It's great. I would also put in the time to investigate how they are, their background, and what they've done, and if they accomplished it, and did they keep good relationships with other businesses. I think these are three main indications that I would look at on onboarding consultants. But the second, or the most important one, would be the second, which is, do you feel that they want to know more about your business
Yeah.
and they are excited to be part of it?
Yeah.
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 Because yeah. And just one thing is that, like, at House of Forte, because I've seen that happening, and I know that in the UAE, especially, a lot of people are fed up with consultants because they've had their share where they've paid so much and didn't get anything in return. And it's the reason how we are doing things. We don't want to do it the traditional way. I don't want to just give you the documents or recipes and, okay, I train you once and then figure it out on your own and I go to my next project. No, we want to have a collaborative approach. And it's the reason that wherever we do something for the business, we want to do it together, either with the owner or with the management team, depending on what is available, so that we show them how we do things and why we're doing it in such a way so that they continue. And even if later on they want to call, they want to ask around, it's okay, we will answer. We will do that. Like, even after delivering a service, there is 2 to 3 months where, if there is something that did not work out, we will come back and fix it, because we understand that when you do something on paper is different than when you execute it. And I think that's so important. So, for example, a recipe can seem amazing. I taste it, it tastes amazing. The owner loves it, but maybe we put it on the menu and the customer doesn't. At the end, it's the customer who defines it. So, okay, if they call me back and tell me, you know what, these items are not working for some reason, we want to alter them, we want to do this, we will do it, you know? Um, so, yeah, this is why we're trying to change things up.
I love that. I would summarize it for people that are, in the process of thinking of a consultant. I
Yeah,
think the first is you really have to know what you want based on the category of business you're in, what kind of size it is. It's just knowing what you want from a consultant. The second is check if your consultant
yeah,
actually cares and is asking you questions
yeah,
or just running off
yeah,
their accolades and things that they've done, their LinkedIn bio. And the third one is also checking the work that they've done, the social proof, asking people that you know. And what I love is the last one, which is the aftercare of a product. Because I mean, consultants sell services. They are providing that aftercare that if anything happens, like I think about, let's say, remote luggage or some of the products that when something happens to that product, you can easily return it. And I think that's
yeah,
return it or repair it. And that is what makes a consultant stand apart if they're able to give that aftercare. Um, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, because we are selling something intangible. A service is intangible, it's not tangible. So, okay, what's the guarantee? What's the warranty? And I think that's what's been missing a lot in the consultancy is that there wasn't a warranty or a guarantee. So why don't we provide that in a sense where there can be to a certain extent where it will not reach to a point where also, the client might take advantage as well of that warranty. And at the same time, as a consultant wouldn't take it at a face value. So that's why it's important to have that.
Is there a word warranty in consultancy? I feel like you should introduce that. We interesting branding term to have a warranty as a
Yeah,
consultant.
yeah,
Okay, we'll go into the
yeah,
topic I
yeah.
actually really wanted to discuss today, but it was really nice to learn
Yeah.
about your career and your business and everything that you've been doing so far. I won't say trends because
Mm.
I saw this thing about Chef David Chang, and they were asking him what trend he wants to die. And he said he's very careful to say that because when you say that you want this trend to die, and he has that level of influence, it can really destroy certain businesses, whether it's a chili garlic. So
True.
today we are going to talk about opportunities and not trends because they come and go.
Yeah, yeah,
And I want to know,
yeah,
with
yeah.
everything that you've seen, what are some of the opportunities? I almost said trends, but the opportunities that you think food entrepreneurs should dig into. I know you sent me the
Yeah.
list, but
Okay.
yeah, go ahead, share.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, there are so many, to be honest. So I'm gonna try to maybe put them under one umbrella because that's driving everything in a sense, which is experience. This is the key word that you'll hear a lot. Now there is heavy emphasis on experience. As consumers, we no longer just want to go and consume food. We want to enjoy it. We go out to be seen, to hear noise, to interact with people. And also, as foodpreneurs that own businesses, they want to showcase that talent differently, that craftsmanship. It's no longer about taking a shortcut. It's the complete opposite. It's about going back to some traditional things in making food and serving it to the customer. It's about that artisanal feel that as a consumer we want to feel, and also as a foodpreneur we want to provide. So I think that's an opportunity that is going to grow even further because it ties back to so many different things. Like now, even after COVID specifically, people understand the importance of well-being from food perspective, from a physical perspective, emotional perspective, and mental perspective. And the nice thing is F&B or hospitality has been playing an integral role in this because it's connecting people together to reach that goal in a sense. Like, for example, wellness. Now, wellness is a keyword that's growing bigger. you'll see a lot of wellness social clubs that are coming up, and they're combining F&B with it, because it's no longer just about going for a yoga class or a Pilates. It's no longer just, okay, I want to go have a coffee. I want to have both. I want to be in a space where I can feel mentally I'm relaxed, emotionally I am, and I'm connecting with people, and I'm having a good product that is good for me. So that's growing, and it's going to keep growing further, because also the consumers that are driving the market, which is mostly millennials and Gen Zs now, they value good food. They value good experience, even if they pay a little bit more, because they want to feel like I'm taking care of myself. And that's heavily connected with technology in a sense, because now social media is taking over a lot of the things. Yeah. So we want to feel connected. We want to feel in control of other things in a sense. Like that's where the consumer behavior is reaching. So I want to feel like I'm in control of what I consume. I'm in control of what I experience outside of the social element that is there now, that's taking over our lives. And I also want to feel like I'm contributing when I'm consuming something. So, for example, in the coffee industry, right now, there is heavy emphasis on fair trade, on ethical trade, on direct trade. So, as a consumer, I want to make sure that the cup of coffee that I'm consuming, it's actually contributing to a good cause and not the opposite. So if I feel that I am able to do this, even by having that cup of coffee, I will choose it rather than going maybe to a commercial chain and just having that coffee. So it's also that belongingness into community and contributing to other businesses. And another thing I would tap on, because I don't want to lose track in all those topics, is unprocessed food, natural food. If you've noticed, fermentation is now a hot topic. Everyone is talking about it, right? It's because it's been there for so long, but not right now. We're discovering more and more how beneficial it is to our gut feeling. Because also having a good gut is connected to our mental well being, it's connected to our emotional well being. And now we're having that understanding that, okay, so it all comes together. If I'm consuming something good, it's gonna affect my body in a good way, which will affect how I think and how I interact with others. So that's just going to keep growing more and more and more as well. And you'll see that happening in different food categories. Like, for example, sourdough. If I'm talking about the UAE, the past year, like sourdough has been the keyword, right? Like, oh, having 100% natural sourdough is so good for you. People are understanding it. Maybe 2 to 3 years back, that wasn't the case, right? So now people see the value of it. And another topic, which is maybe not so much about food, is how the food industry is connecting other industries. Like, let's say, if we're talking about fashion, the fashion industry is using food industry to connect with people faster and build an emotional connection. Because I'll tell you something, consumers nowadays, they don't prioritize so much owning something expensive rather than experiencing something. And fashion brands are understanding this, and they're jumping at it to keep that connection. So you'll see a lot of, let's say, Prada Cafe. You have collaborations like Rimowa and La Marzocco, for instance, that happened in Milan Fashion Week, and so many other things. Even Zara has a cafe now, right, within its store. So you'll see that more fashion brands are using F&B. And I think that's going to keep growing more and more and more. And the last thing also that I'll tap on is sustainability. But sustainability now is growing further than just having an eco-friendly packaging. Now we are challenging ourselves more. Like, for example, I attended the Best Chefs Awards that was held in Dubai 1 month ago. And there was Chef Angel Leon from Aponiente restaurant, which is a 3 Michelin restaurant in Spain. and he was talking about marine life and the endless possibilities you can do with it that contributes to sustainability and the zero waste cycle. And that was mind blowing for me because, in all honesty, some things I didn't know about before. And when I saw that, when I saw the future of sustainability and where it's going, I realized the potential that we have that we can really invest on rather than just taking the shortcut of, okay, having great eco-friendly packaging, but there's so much more into sustainability that we can do and practice within the establishments as foodpreneurs. So yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
when you listen to some of the best chefs and foodpreneurs, they are pushing the boundaries. They're doing things in their kitchen or their business that is not really thought about, like such as, let's say, sustainability packaging or combining fashion food.
yeah.
My boyfriend actually told me one time that he saw a croissant that was branded Louis Vuitton in the lounge. I was like, that is crazy. It was 20, I believe it was $20. I was like, that's a very expensive croissant.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it can get a bit much and then it can get just right.
yeah,
I- I'm curious
yeah.
because you seem to absorb so much. How do you keep updated with all of this? Are there websites, newsletters, or where do you get some of these up and coming opportunities that you see in the industry that if anyone's listening to this, they can actually follow and stay updated?
To be honest, I would say Instagram, number one. I follow a lot of the big chefs. I follow a lot of the big brands that contribute. And I follow different also foodpreneurs and influencers. I stay up to date with what is happening, like what is opening, latest openings. I go out, I try them out, and I read a lot as well, articles. I sometimes attend seminars to hear, okay, what's happening from the industry professionals. But I would say the number one thing is to be a customer. So I can read so much, I can see so much, but if I'm not experiencing as well, I will not be able to stay updated. So also experience what you are reading, experience what you are seeing, what others are talking about, because that's when you will start anticipating what is happening and you'll get the feel from the field in a sense, right? So yeah.
I love what you said, experience it yourself as a customer. So, if you're just starting out, probably you're not in the best salary yet, I would recommend saving your money. That's one option. Don't waste it on things that don't contribute to your knowledge and experience. The second is also offering to work for free, whether you intern or apprentice, like or minimal wage. And you can learn so much working in those
Yes.
establishments. So don't feel like you have to be just
Yes.
spending. You can also be a customer. I remember when I was in college, my dad said I was
Yes.
spending too much in coffee. So he said, you have to find a cafe job so you can experience coffee without paying for it. Yeah, I think those are just the
That's such
fun
a
things.
that's yeah, yeah, that's such a great advice. And yes, 100%. You can be a customer. It's not only about going and trying out, but being in that space. If you get the opportunity, 100% go for it, especially at the start of your career. Yes. And that's where you absorb so much, right? That's the time where you are so open to absorbing everything around you. So yeah,
Yeah. Okay, just the last couple questions. What's
yeah,
been
please.
the best investment that you've made in your career?
Uh, I think I would say trying things like when I'm talking about work, working in different places and investing my time truly at the work that I had. I did not take shortcuts at the beginning of my career, even till now, I'll be honest with you. So when I work in a place, I fully dedicate myself into it. Like if I am opening a burger place, for instance, I am gonna know every single thing about burgers. I'm gonna live the role. From everything, So I would really invest the time to get to know something so much and do it so much that I feel confident enough to go out there with it. So I would say the biggest investment is the time that I dedicated to every single thing that I've done. Even if others would tell me like that's so much and like you're a workaholic, certain extent, yes. But I think it's so important to do it at a certain phase in your life because there will be another phase where you might not have to do it the same way, but in another way. But that phase when you really like, I wouldn't say consume yourself in it, but really live it, you just get a different feel. You get a different feel that I really can't explain even. You know, yeah.
I was joking with someone. Actually, I should tell every podcast guest I have. This is the podcast for workaholics, actually. And that's what I realized from this podcast. Everyone I interview is semi borderline extreme workaholic. Okay, I know you're a foodie. I've seen your Instagram. You love being a customer. And what are some of your top places, maybe three, one, five, that you think everyone should experience once, whether it's in UAE or somewhere else in the world? I know you travel a lot, so feel free to share your
Yeah.
hit list when it comes to restaurant bars or experiences.
Okay. I need to, there's so much on my mind that I need to think. Uh,
It's probably the hardest question for you. Everything else you
it
know,
is
and
the
then
hardest,
this one is.
honestly, because there's so much that like I want to be fair to what I think really is good to experience. Uh, okay, I'll first talk about UAE and then maybe international so I don't get mixed up so much. I think here, one of the places that I tried and I really liked because of his interpretation of food and how he managed to like take something so traditional but do it in a modern way. Because okay, Orfeli Bistro by Mohammed Orfeli, and he just got a Michelin star. So why I like it is because so with our food, let's say Middle Eastern food, it's known to be done in a certain way, right? And we're so critical of it as consumers because we are expecting it to be traditionally made as is. And when someone tries to play around with it, we can critique that. But he did it in such a way that really, when you try it, you get the essence of the food but you feel that it's different at the same time. And he managed to get that balance off. So really hats off to him and how he did it. And I see him in the restaurant. I see him interacting with customers. I see him talking with people. I and when you see that, you realize that the amount of dedication that he also puts in and that plate in front of you takes a lot of work and a lot of passion and a lot of dedication. So it's definitely a favorite place for me and for someone to try out if they want something different. Another one is in Spain, in Madrid, and I don't know if I'm announcing it properly. It's called Desiente 1911. It's a seafood restaurant. And when you first enter, like from when you enter, you are greeted by the hostess, by the people. You already feel part of the place. You already feel comfortable. And then they take you around the restaurant and you sit down. They introduce you to what is the concept. You see the display, you see the innovation. And at the same time, the design is so simple. It's purely focused on the product. And I think the meal it lasted for like 2 hours and a half because it was like a 12-course meal, but I didn't feel it. It was the first time I actually don't feel it at all. It was so seamless. It was so interesting that I was trying the food and looking around, and then they bring in the next dish, and you see the intricate details behind it and how it's still so simple. I just loved it. Like, even when I went to the washroom to wash my hands, I loved that they had a toothbrush. And I'm like, wow, that's such a small detail, but it's such an important one because, yeah, you might need it like after such a meal if maybe you have a meeting or something to do. that, you know, you want to brush your teeth after. So I realized that they thought about it from all perspectives. They didn't just focus on the food, they focused on giving an experience. So I would say that was like my favorite. And I always talk about it when someone asks me what to do instead. I always tell them about it because I think it is an experience to have. Um, and yeah, like these would be the top two, but I have so much more that but I can't think of really
How
now.
about a casual
But
one? Something that doesn't
oh yeah.
necessarily have like a star or high innovation, but you just think, okay, they make something really delicious that you can keep coming back for. Like I love
Oh
Nando's.
yeah, I have a lot.
People laugh at me, but
Oh
I
yeah.
really love Nando's chicken, and people just think like that is so bizarre, considering that I've dined in so many nice restaurants, and credit to also them. They put all the work, but there's just something about the chicken. I just love it.
No, 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 no. I love it. I love it in all honesty. I love Nando's. Okay, I'll be very honest with you. One of my favorite dishes is shawarma, if you know it.
Okay. Yes, yes, of course. We all love it here
Yeah,
in this
yeah.
country. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So my this is also a comfort food for me, and it's a place that I would recommend. It's such a casual place. It's called Lafah. Lafah. And they just serve the freshest shawarma, and I think it's an experience to have, to be honest with you. Like they do it the right way, the traditional way too. It's crispy, like the bread is crispy, but it's so juicy on the inside, and you have the right amount of garlic and pickles inside. There's no potatoes because technically you're not meant to put potatoes inside the shawarma or any other vegetable except three ingredients: chicken, pickles, and garlic, and then really toast the bread properly. So this is something that I'd definitely say I would always go to, you know, especially if I want to grab and go. Another place is also it's casual. It's like pretty casual, but because you know sometimes when you go to okay nice places, you also want a place that is just so raw in a sense, and it's comfort food for me. Um, Okay, I'm not gonna say an Arabic one. I would say 11 Green. It's a burger restaurant because also this is something that I really like. Uh, they they focused on fresh ingredients. It's casual. They focus on the core product. Whenever I'm passing around and craving a burger, I go to now. It's my go-to place for a burger. Uh, because simply it's good. It's a good burger to have. So that was
This
that's also
is very torturous, this podcast. I don't know why I do this to myself. After every podcast, I'm definitely hungry. I appreciate so much everything you've
yeah.
shared, and we'll leave
Yeah,
it at that,
thank you.
where I'm thinking about that burger,
Yeah,
and maybe I will be going to UAE by January just to try this burger. Um,
please.
but a quick question: how do people reach you? Like, where is the best way to connect with you? Whether to stay in touch or find out what you're doing or possibly even work with you in the future.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'd say definitely number one would be Instagram. So they can reach me out to there also either through my personal page or through the company page, also LinkedIn too. I'm active on both channels or by email. Um, these are three things that they can reach out to me at any time, and I'm always open then to carry the conversation, whether through a phone call or a video call or even meeting in person.
Thank you so much. This has been such a
Thank you as well.
fun conversation, but also makes me super hungry. So we'll leave it at that.
Me too.
Thanks for being part of What's on Your Plate, and I really do value the time you gave me today. From wellness focused social clubs to the intersection of fashion and food like a Louis Vuitton croissant, Ala shared valuable insights on where the industry is heading. If you'd like to get more of the episode notes and takeaways or further research I've done, head to onyourplate.substack.com, where I write a newsletter every 2 weeks. Stay tuned also for the next conversation, which is actually with a PR expert in the Philippines. We explore the world of food, business, and culture. And if you found this conversation very valuable, please do share it with someone who might appreciate it as well. Connect with me on Instagram at @BeaTrinidad_ for behind the scenes content and updates on upcoming episodes. But lastly, just having a conversation with me. I love it, and I love hearing from you. So have a good rest of the week.